He has spoken on the topics faith, family and freedom in Cuba, Belgium, Brazil, Congo, UK and all over the USA to crowds from 14 to 40,000. International leadership speaker, trainer and coach. Author of Learn to Raw Leadership, Attitude Hack, Live a More Excellent Life, 5 Battle Strategies of a Victorious Warrior. 2021 President's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient. Founding partner of the John Maxwell team. Toastmaster International Speech Competition semi-finalist. Founder of Tell It Like It Is TV, ThatGuyRocks.com and ThatGuySpeaks.com. Creator of Story Power TV, Transforming Grace TV, and Leading Leaders Podcast. Producer of 4 TV programs and podcasts for Liftable TV and World Trumpet Television as well as multiple social media channels. Please help me welcome J Loren Norris.
Well, all kinds of new adventures. It's so much fun to experiment with new things and try new things and do new things. And yet sometimes we reach that place where all the new wears off. It just becomes routine or habit or commonplace. We lose the thrill, the excitement, the joy. It becomes mundane. Maybe it's in marriage. Maybe it's in your organization. Maybe it's in the new project you're working on. Maybe it's in the goals that you have right now. I mean, we're in May. We've almost reached the midpoint of 2023. How many goals have you achieved that you set out for yourself at the beginning of the year? How many have you already pushed the target back and said, maybe it's not going to happen this year? How many are you still ambitiously hopeful that it could happen, but you're getting a little worn out trying to get there? You're feeling like that third lap in a 5-mile race. Well, everybody is going to reach a point of near burnout. Everybody. The question is, what do you do when you get there? Good leaders know when and where and how to replenish, to refill, to restart, to refresh. And that's what I want to talk about in this episode of Leading Leaders. Subscribe now for our extensive video library of leadership lessons promoting faith, family, and freedom. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast, and I too, like every other human, I run up against the wall sometimes. I spend the time doing the things that have to be done, and yet I get caught up in the mundane sometimes, the little things that just have to be done. And sometimes when you're caught up in the little things that have to be done, especially when you have no team, or like myself, you have a team of just a couple and I'm the only full-time one, so everything that I do, from the production to the switching to the writing of the content to everything I do on these podcasts, everything I do for my coaching clients, every event that I host, every book that I write, I touch every aspect of it. And some of them I'm really good at. Some of them are my natural bent, my natural proclivity. Some of them, it's a struggle because I realize that there are people who are better at those things than I am, and I'm not in a position yet to hire a whole team to do them better than I do them. I watch some of the guys who've created podcasts in the last few years, and they have a team of 8 or 10 or 12 people, and one works only on social media exposure, and another one works on getting the marketing out, another works on sponsorship, another works on the research in the background, so that the one who hosts the podcast can actually be a host, do the interviews, have the conversations, be the articulate one, but somebody else is doing all the background work. Well, I don't have that team, so I am all of the above. And I still have a side hustle that helps meet all the expectations because podcasting isn't free. And so somebody still has to pay bills that podcasting doesn't yet pay. But it doesn't mean my burden for podcasting, for communication, for delivering information has gone away. And I know that there are other leaders, not just in the world of podcasting. Maybe it's in real estate. Maybe it's in a sales organization. Maybe it's in a political organization. Maybe it's in a nonprofit organization. Maybe it's a restaurant or a retail organization who feel like every day they're doing it on their own. Yesterday, I stopped to get my suit coat, not this one, but another one, from the dry cleaners. And as I picked it up, the guy behind the counter, I just asked him, do you have a veteran's discount? I ask it everywhere I go. He said, no, we don't. We have the best prices in town. You're welcome to try out every other competitor. You'll still find we have the best prices in about 35 miles. Okay, I'll take that. And then his receipt paper wouldn't come out of his little machine. And he said, I don't understand what it is. I was in the other store the other day, and I'm thinking, how many stores do you work in? And he said, well, I own 3. This one's the oldest one. It's the first one. But he's been there for 50 years running this dry cleaner store. It's his store. But when that one little device didn't work and the printer paper wouldn't come out of it, he carried it to the back to somebody else and said, help me with this. Not his strength, not his thing. Somebody else put it back together and then told him, yeah, we dropped it a few days ago and bent the door on it. You got to put it back in place just in the right way or the paper won't come out of it. He's like, well, I guess now I get to replace that because nobody else is going to replace that for me. And I thought to myself, there's a whole lot of aspects to my job that if I don't do them, they don't happen. If I don't touch it, never going to happen. I don't have a team that works on my customer journey or my client funnel. I don't have one. It's me. And if I don't write the copy doesn't get written. And if I don't set up the email campaign doesn't get done. And if I don't send out the books and respond to the speaking engagement opportunities and respond to the guest request to be on someone else's podcast, it doesn't happen. And if I miss an email, like I did the other day for a television interview to be a guest on someone else's show, I almost missed the window altogether. Instead, what did happen is I had to schedule for 2 weeks from now instead of 2 days from now. Why? Because nobody else does that. It's just me. Now the question is, what do you do when that's the case? What does a leader do when they find themselves over their heads, overwhelmed, too much stuff going on, and facing the potential or possibility of burnout? Or maybe you're already there. I'm going to give you a really strange piece of advice. If you've ever studied strengths finders, you'll know this to be true. There are things about your personality style, things that light you up that other people see as work, things that you do that when you do them, you feel like you're 1,000 miles in the air. Everything in the world is okay. All the stress is gone. You are so in your zone, you're good to go. For some people, that's a game of golf. For some people, it's sitting on the beach, staring at the water with nothing else going on. No phone, no book, no nothing, just staring at the water, completely empty-minded. Meditation, if you want to call it that. For others, it might be a worship song or cruising down the highway with your hair blowing in the wind and all the windows down, or the top down of the car, or on your motorcycle with the visor open. It's that chill time. Well, I get that in a couple of different ways. I do love to ride my motorcycle down a curvy highway. That's a lot of fun. That really helps me relax when I'm not in traffic dealing with everybody on their cell phones. But the one that really might surprise people is that my number one in Strength Finders is learner. There are very few things I love more than to learn. And so all the books that you see around me, let me go back to that other shot. All these books that you see around me, and that's only half of them. There's another side over there and more in my office that are still in boxes because I ran out of shelf space. But I love my books. I love to learn. I love to grab one topic and just dig into it. Sometimes it's one author. Maybe I'll dig into Booker T. Washington or Frederick Douglass or Thomas Sowell and just read everything that I've got my hands on about that individual. And for whatever bizarre reason, that lights me up. That refreshes me. Sometimes it's my Bible. Sometimes it's patriotic book. Maybe sometimes it's even books from people that I strongly disagree with. But learning something new about other people, learning something new about facts of history that I didn't know before, about psychology and the mind works, that lights me up. That's what makes me feel like a balloon 1,000 feet off the ground, like I've got new perspective, like I've got new energy, like I'm refreshed and replenished and refilled. And I know that sounds bizarre, especially to those of you who'd rather sit on the beach and watch the waves or go play a game of golf. But I can tell you, for some people, carrying a golf cart, or driving around in a golf cart carrying clubs around for many hours on a golf course. That seems like work. It's like a workout. But I do know people who'd rather go for a run. They put in their headphones. Wendy Pett is one of those. She loves to go for a run or go for a long walk. I've been at ministry conferences where she's there and she disappears early in the morning. Everybody else is having coffee. You're like, where's Wendy? Oh, she's walking. In fact, she's got 3 of the other ministry heads with her walking 5 miles around this resort on the lake in the mountains. And we're thinking, that's a workout. How can that be relaxing? But that's her relaxing. And I want to challenge you as a leader to take a moment, step back for everything that you have as a responsibility. Set it all aside for just a minute and realize that as a burned out leader, as a worn out leader, as an overworked leader, you're getting pretty close to being a useless leader. It's time to take a day or 2 or maybe a week and zone out. Find the place where you can disconnect and recharge you, the way that you recharge. I know for some people that's to go on a cruise. Dr. Mark Thomas, I've known this guy since, holy cow, a long time, since we were in our 20s and we played racquetball together in the Air Force in England in the early 90s. It's a long time ago. He's on a cruise right now. He does it on a regular basis. It's one of the ways that he unplugs and unwinds and gets away. And I want to challenge you to find your something. Go on a cruise, find an Airbnb in a small town in the middle of nowhere. Take a couple of books with you. Go hunting, go fishing, go skiing. Get in a kayak and paddle up the rapids of the Colorado River. I don't care what you do, but don't let life burn you out. Don't get to the place where you're asking yourself, why do I even do this? Because if you've genuinely lost sight of why you do this, then the amount of passion that you do it with, whatever this is, it's going to be diminished. Which means the people that you're here to serve, to lead, they're not getting the best of you. They're getting the leftovers of you. Because you've let the well run dry. You've let the tank run empty. I don't know if you know this about cars or not. This is a truth. If your car is fuel injected and you let it run out of gas and you continue to crank it, every time you crank it, the starter is causing those pistons to pump up and down, that camshaft and crankshaft to turn around and around and around. And when it's doing it without fuel in the tank, that fuel pump is pumping something into that engine, but it's called air. It will cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars to have someone take your engine apart, pull all the injectors out of it, reprime the entire system, because what you've done is run it so empty on fuel that it's now running literally on air. Not fumes, not fuel, but air. And that air can destroy your engine. It can burn out your valves. It can completely destroy your injector system. And it will cost you hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars to fix by simply trying to restart an engine that you know has no fuel in it. Listen, if you have found yourself as a leader at that place where it's starting to knock a little bit, it's starting to ping a little bit, maybe there's a little bit of sputter going on in your emotional energy in the work that you do. You feel like you're doing it all on your own and you're whipped, you're beat. You can't do this anymore. Pull over to the side of the road, emotionally, psychologically, mentally, in the work that you're doing. Take a day off. Take a day off. There's a great book by Robert Morris called Take a Day Off. It's about taking a day of rest. It's recommended for the human to do that at least one day a week. Some of us have a hard time doing that. Some of us, I'm one of them, feels guilty taking a day off. But I'm going to challenge you to take a day off. Pull over to the side of the road, shut the engine down, wait for somebody to bring you some fuel. Find your beach, find your skis, find your golf, find your pool table, find your motorcycle, find your convertible ride along the beach, whatever it is that you need. Get out, get away, get refilled, get refreshed, get replenished. Because a burned out you serves no one. A frustrated you helps no one. And there are people who are counting on you to be at your very best and to give your very best. And if you're empty, you're not your very best. And you don't have your very best to offer. So take the time Maybe it's this week. Maybe you're just planning it for a couple of weeks or a couple of months out. But if you haven't done it lately, do it now. The world's about to get crazier. Between now and the end of this year, the world's going to get much, much crazier. There are a lot of things coming down the pike. You have no idea how radically they're going to change your daily life, and I don't care where you are in the grand scheme of things. Your income isn't going to matter. Your housing situation, not going to matter. Your religious affiliation, your level of education, the job you have, the career you work in, the color of your skin, none of those things will matter in the shift that we're about to see globally in the next 9 to 12 months. It's going to be a different world. And you will still be expected to be your best because there are people around you who are counting on you. In fact, they might be counting on you more than they are right now to do what you do at the best you possibly can. So take a break. Get refreshed. I think I'm going to spend today. I've got a network meeting today. I've got to reset the studio for some interviews tomorrow, this afternoon. But I think I'm going to take the most of this day, and I'm going to take a couple of old books, and I'm going to go hide somewhere with a coffee cup and an old book and just fill me up. You're welcome to join me if you're in the neighborhood. I also thrive on conversation. If you're watching this and you live in Granbury and you find me, pull up a chair, have a seat. It'll be worthwhile, I promise. But if you're a leader and people are counting on you, you're only going to deliver your best if you're filled and refreshed. Take time to do that. I'm J Loren Norris with Leading Leaders Podcast for Tell It Like It Is TV. Have a blessed day.
Loren is a master teacher on storytelling, and I learned so much. I'm really going to have to sit down and go back through everything, and I think I might have to have some more coffees with Loren, but it was totally worth my time, and I really highly recommend it if you're looking to grow your ministry, grow your business, grow your career. Loren will serve you well.
Thank you.